What's going on, everybody? This is Corbin, the Serpent Tongue Skipwith, and I have a very special guest today, Tobias from Avantasia. How you going?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm just excited to have you on here.
That's great. It's great to be excited. You're excited for all the right reasons, man.
That makes two of
No,
us.
thank you.
Um,
Excuse me? Yeah.
yeah, sorry. So I was just gonna say, um, can you tell me about the process of making this new album? Was there anything different compared to your previous albums?
Oh, yeah. I think a lot was different because I had just, well, refurbished or renewed my studio, renovated and upgraded my own studio when the COVID pandemic hit. And that made me I had to change things a little bit because all of a sudden I was presented with a situation of being trapped at home. Yeah, after a while it gets pretty dull and you think, oh, what can I do? And I started to work on my music on my own, and I created demos from scratch. I had always done stuff in the past, but this time it was more intense because I was on my own from start to, I don't want to say finish because I still had a producer, but from start to a finished proper demo where everything was in place. So the whole process got me involved a lot more. And that was because it was working in isolation and I had to do something, self-therapy, so to speak, to not go crazy. So that was a bit of a change. Whereas in the past, I would always, get out and go to Sasha's place sometimes, and have musicians come in here, and yeah, I was getting very immersed in every aspect of the process and in the music, deeply involved. So it's a very intense and very personal album, I would say.
Yeah, you know, um, after after talking to so many bands and artists who had to record during the COVID era, it's really interesting for me because as bad as it is, and as bad as that time was, depending on which country you live in, it kind of forced artists to show a more creative side, a more unique side of their music that they never thought of before.
Yeah, well, as I said, it's really different. Of course, at first, it's very challenging mentally because you're presented with a situation that you don't know what the future is going to hold for you. You don't know what's going to be left of the music business, and it was very, very scary in a way. But I always approach those, not those situations, but difficult situations like, okay, is there anything I can do about it? No? Okay. So it is what it is. Let me do the best I can do to maintain my sanity, if there was any before, but to just cope with it. And yeah, and that's, I just I began to enjoy getting so deeply involved in studio technology, in singing. I know it should be a thing that a singer does because he enjoys it, and I always enjoyed it. But in the past 10, 15 years, I had sung basically when it was required, when I was recording or when I was going on stage. I had to sing. I didn't even think about it anymore. Now I sometimes would sneak into the studio and just sing 3 hours, record not demo version, record cover versions of Journey and Queensryche, and just do it because I loved it and because there was nothing else I could do. So it I reconnected to the basics of music, in a way. And after a while, it felt really, I was locking the studio door behind me and I disappeared in my own little, in the, I encountered, that's also why the album's called The Moonflower Society, or Paranormal Evening with the Moonflower Society. Part of the reason why it's called that is because I so enjoyed to lock the studio door behind me, shut the studio door behind me, not lock it, but shut it behind me and see who I'm going to encounter, my muses, my inspirations, the ghosts and spirits of music flying around and helping me to disappear in my own little world, like the gatekeepers to the Moonflower Society world. And I called them the Moonflower Society, those invisible entities. Yeah, it was I think I made the best out of it, even though I would never go that far to say COVID had something good. I think it was a pretty shitty time, because even though I'm not socializing a lot usually, it felt strange, and it still doesn't feel quite normal. I think we can still feel the tail end. I hope it's the tail end, but we can still see the effect on the economy and how people behave, and things are still not back to normal over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, I guess different places are going through their own different stages. We're fully done with it here in Australia, finally.
Oh, lucky you. Yeah, it's if nobody's really afraid of it here anymore. I think it's got to a point where it's more like a cold, and people, it's not that many people die anymore from it, but still, it's still, I think it still is it's still on people's minds somewhere, even subconsciously. It's like people don't go to shows, for example, as much as they used to. People got used to sitting at home watching Netflix instead of going to a show. Not everybody, but maybe 30% or 25%. And those people are I mean, the music industry is missing those people. And the entertainment industry and the movie theater industry and everything. People have got used to sitting at home and not going out as much. That's what I mean. We still presented with the effect of it in a way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And the one thing I was mainly curious about when it comes to the album was the writing process. When you do the writing, do you have a certain singer in mind when you're writing, or is it just like, what's the process for that?
Sometimes I really have a certain singer in mind from right from the start. You get a feeling when you have a melody. It's got something to do with experience as a songwriter and as a producer. Sometimes you have a feeling when you're working on a certain piece of music, when you have an initial idea, you think, oh, that goes so in this direction. That has to be a Jeff Tate song or a Michael Kiske song. And with those singers, I've grown up. They're idols of me. And I think I've listened to their stuff so much when I was a kid or a teenager that it's in my DNA. And when I write those kinds of songs and I imagine what the finished song would sound like, I can hear their voices on the song in my imagination, and it's not so far away from, or it's quite close to what it ends up being in real life, which is very weird. My imagination works very good in that sense, I think. And it's when I write a song for Jeff, it's like, and I have this melody, I can hear it. It's like Jeff is sitting next to me and he's singing it, but he doesn't even know it at that point that he's going to sing that song. He's somewhere in Seattle, and yeah, and that's an interesting thing. So sometimes, absolutely, I write with my voices, or the voices that I think should be on the song, in mind. Sometimes you just write a song and you don't know who's going to be the singer, which was the case for Misplaced Among the Angels, or I think also I Tamed the Storm, the song that Jorn sang. Those songs were written, and I thought, okay, it should be a voice. I Tamed the Storm is a good example. That was a song that to me sounded like a modern version of an Iron Maiden ripoff. to put it blatantly cruel. But no, it had those Iron Maiden reminiscences, and it also, it was a bit modern. And I thought, what if Jorn sings this? It's going to take the song in a completely different direction. So I asked Jorn, he sang it, and it worked beautifully, but it was not what it originally, what I thought it would be like. It would an obvious Maiden-esque song, so to speak. So yeah, it can go both ways. Sometimes things fall in place even accidentally, which is I don't know. We've had, not on this record so much, but we've also had stuff where we said, I remember we had a song called I Don't Believe in Your Love on the Scarecrow album. I know that goes way back to 2000. I think we recorded it in 2006, 2007. And I wanted Blackie Lawless to sing that one. And the vocal lines were written for Blackie Lawless. And Blackie didn't do it. So I asked Ollie Hartmann, a multi purpose weapon, so to speak, or tool. So I asked him, "Oh, could you sing it?" It was. He said, "Yeah, let me try." It got something. It's completely different to what I had imagined, I think, but it was great. So sometimes things just fall in place. And God bless Ollie for being my multi purpose tool.
That's an amazing way to put it. And stemming from that question, do you find it hard whenever you go out touring, considering you have so many guest vocalists?
What do I find hard? I mean,
So
organizing
like,
it, or
so like having them with you.
okay. I thought I was wondering if your question was aiming at organizing it in the first place, or because at the catering it can be really, really difficult. Then it's everybody's on his own from now on, and you put your elbows out and no, I want to have that last sausage. No, seriously, no, we get along great. It's great. What is astonishing to me is that, I mean, of course, in the first place, it's not easy to organize, but that's why in Avantasia sometimes you have a certain singer not being part of a certain leg of a tour, and it always happens they have their own band. So to organize it's sometimes a bit sticky and difficult, but we usually have a good cast wherever we go. That's one thing. And on the road, it's absolutely no elbows, no. We all have our egos, and I think that's good, because as a frontman, as a singer especially, also as a guitar player, I think Ollie has an ego as well, more than Sasha. Sasha does not have much of an ego. Sasha is like, he resembles Jesus, I would say. I never met Jesus, but I imagine Jesus to be a bit like Sasha, not just regarding the haircut, but I think it's good to have an ego when you're on stage. And Michael Kiske once put it in a very nice way. He said, in Avantasia, it's one of those bands where the singers come in and they are required, or they need to have an ego. They are brought in because of their ego. And I think there's something genuinely true about it. That in Avantasia, we have those singers and they all have their spot, and they all have a big spot to shine. And when they go on stage, they should bring all the glamour and the pomp and the here I am, the presence, the ego, the self-confidence. That's all required. And so I think it's a place where we can all freely release and live out our lead singer's disease, as they call it, and still behind the curtains, it's friendship, it's family. On stage as well, I think people can sense that we all get along very, very, very good.
Yeah, nah, that's the best way to go about it. I'm curious, how particular are you with the arranging for the track list on the album, where it goes, which track goes where? Are you very particular about it?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I know it's not very fashionable in this day and age when people stream selectively and single songs, and when it's all about the individual stream and whatever they call it. To me, an album is an album. It's a story. It's even though this album is not really a plot story, it's more a theme album, a thematic album. It's a conceptual album, but it's a still it is a conceptual album, but not with a. I didn't stick to a plot, so theoretically I could have interchanged some of the songs. Still, I want to have flow in the album. I want to tell a story musically. I want the ups and downs. I want people to breathe through and have a ballad here, and then have an aggressive song after that, and then have a short song, and then a rather sophisticated epic song that demands a lot of attention. And you're telling a story as an artist. You make up your mind what works best and how is the flow of the album good. I think every artist does that. And to me, it's so annoying that I think the meaning of the album has, or the album itself, the entity of 11 tracks, the whole, has lost its meaning a bit. People are about individual songs, and the most important thing is it has to end up on this playlist or that playlist or whatever. I don't even have a streaming plan, so I don't know really how it works. but I trust my record company. They do a good job, and they always tell me, hey, please write your number one on this track list and whatever. And I do it. Yeah, I obey to Great Brave New World. Oh, great. I'm number one on the playlist. Heaviest shit of the century of this week, or whatever. I don't know. There's a playlist like that. I don't think so. But yeah, to me, it's very important to have a flow. An album is like a book. You open it up, you get immersed in it, you get lost in it. It's a trip. It invites you to a different world. That's why I'm so conscious about the artwork and the booklet, and I get so involved in these things because I know when I was a kid, and I'm still a kid, I think, how I approach music. I want to open up, I want to unwrap the package. It's like Christmas, and all of a sudden you got Eddie on the cover, referring to a Maiden album now, and you go through the booklet and the sleeve, and you get lost in it. That's how I learned. That's how I was brought to music. I got lost in those little worlds. It was a little world or a big world pressed onto a vinyl and a sleeve. And I mean, every heavy metal fan who grew up in the 80s has spent hours with a double vinyl release of Iron Maiden's Live After Death. Everybody has been going through the booklet and the pictures, and where is that? Well, today's music world, it's just you having playlists on a bloody phone. It's unbelievable. And so, yes, to answer your question, after 7 minutes of nonsense talk, I really, really make up my mind about the set list, and I want to make it like a ride, like a trip, like a journey. Absolutely.
Nice. And as you pointed out, that's the way it should be. And to me, nothing speaks that clearer than the outro track, the final track. I don't know how to pronounce it. Arabesque.
Arabesque.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. That one. Yeah. So tell me about it. Because that is such a grand song to end the album with.
Yeah. The funny thing is that's the oldest song, along with Misplaced Among the Angels. It's a song that was originally written for the Moonglow album, not the lyrics, but the music. And it was pretty much the writing of the song was pretty much done, and parts of it were already recorded. But we skipped the song for the Moonglow album because we already had 2 long songs on Moonglow, The Raven Child and Ghost in the Moon. So I said, okay, 3 epics is maybe a bit too much. Let's put this on the back burner. And yeah, then I wrote the lyrics to it. It's a great song. It's what I think is so funny about the song is that it's got all those different elements that are, at first you scratch your head over it. I remember Sasha. He said it's weird after we had arranged the midsection, and I did that with Miro, guitar player. That baroque midsection. It was almost like Telemann. Baroque composer. And Sasha said, that's getting too much in terms of different styles. We have Oriental parts, and some of it sounds like Black Sabbath, and some of it sounds like Carl Orff, and we have Celtic bagpipes, and we have Queen elements and 70s prog rock elements, and now you have a Baroque part in the middle. This doesn't make sense at all. And I said, Sasha, maybe you're right, but haven't we ever really worried about not making sense? I mean, we're a heavy metal or a rock band. The least thing I want to worry about or want to have to worry about is whether I make sense or not. I mean, listen to Rhyme and Reason. That whole song is about enjoying not to be forced to make sense. So I said, let's do it. And it's an arabesque. It's like an arabesque is a pattern where several seemingly unfitting or unmatching individual threads are woven together to a beautiful pattern, which is arabesque. That's what the arabesque pattern on old wallpapers and stuff, what it's all about. And I said, and let's make it even more conceptual, because that song is very autobiographic. It's written like a journey. It could be a crusade or whatever journey. It's written like a tale. But it's none of that. It's not. It reads in the beginning. It could be a song of a diary of a crusader or something, but it is not. Truly. It's about my life, and it's a very peaceful song. But it deals with expectations, with pressure, with mental pressure, with the necessity to find your own way in between all these different hands that are reaching for you, that want to grab you, and that want you to fulfill expectations and to play your role, to play a role that other people have you in mind for, and to remain yourself and not go crazy and not burn out on the way, which is a challenge and which has been my story for many years. And that's an arabesque as well. You get all these different expectations, your own and other people's expectations, and necessities and duties, and you try to get them all together and stir and make it your own life and find your way in between all these different expectations. And yeah, that's what arabesque is about. I love it. Jorn did a great job. Mickey did a great job. I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I did a great job on it too. I'm very, very happy with the song. And it's one of those songs that, even though the album has a lot of shorter tracks, lots of shorter tracks, it is a song that takes all the time in the world to unfold its magic. It's got a 3 minutes intro or 2.5 minutes intro, I think. I haven't counted, but a long intro anyway. You don't normally do that if you play by the rules of the music industry of the 21st century, especially in streaming. People say, I got told those rules, within 30 seconds, you should transport the essence of a song if you want to play by the rules of streaming, of the streaming age. 30 seconds. That's in 30 seconds. I haven't even started to sing in most songs. It's impossible. Keep your fucking rules for yourself. I don't play by them. I can't play. If you want me to play by those rules, I'm out of this. I won't do it. So, and I think arabesque is such a beautiful way of scrapping all business rules and just flicking the bird. And it's a beautiful track. I really love it as well.
Yeah. Well, look, I just want to say I love this whole album. I especially love that final track, as you were just talking about. I think it's a masterpiece. And as someone who is an album guy instead of a singles guy, I can really appreciate the direction you're going for. And I think you really nailed it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's nice to hear. I'm really happy with it. I'm happy about the reaction. It's, you never really know. You just know when you release an album, am I happy with it or am I not happy with it? I mean, when I'm not happy, I wouldn't release it. So I was and still am really, really satisfied with everything. And I'm very, very extremely happy with it. And fans seem to like it. And that's not the most important thing, but it's the first important thing, the most important thing after myself liking it.
Yeah. Look, that's all the questions that I had for you today. But I was hoping that I could invite you in the near future to maybe appear on my metal podcast so we can talk about your album some more.
Yeah. It's no problem. We can settle this through my press lady. It's possible. Yeah.
Nice. You're such a great guy. You're so energetic. You're so passionate, and that's the one thing I love most about artists, when they have those attributes. And you showed in spades. So thank you so much again for having me.
Thank you for spreading the word in Australia. I need people like you to spread the word in Australia, because that is the key for me to come back to a beautiful country with 7 of the 10 most lethal animals in the world. Okay, that's something I don't find that tempting, but I've never encountered one.
Well, trust me, you're not missing out on much.
No, but I love Australia. Ever since I was there for the first time, I think in May 2002, over 20 years ago, and I've always loved it down under. It's a beautiful place to live. Where are you based?
Melbourne.
Yeah. Food capital of the world back in, I think, 2000 or 99 or something. It was great back in 2002 already, and or still. Yeah, that's a place. That's a great place to live.
Well, whenever you do come back to Melbourne, make sure you send me an invite. We'll come meet in person, talk, and have a good time.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you again for your time.
Thank you for your time and have a lovely day.
You too. Thank you.